Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to explore something we look at every single day, but maybe don't fully understand: the human face. Think of it as an honest canvas. We're going to learn how to decode the silent language it speaks, giving you a real beginner's guide to understanding what people are truly feeling. So, let's dive in. You know that feeling, right? We've all been there. You're in a conversation, maybe an important meeting, or even just chatting with a friend, and something just feels a little off. The words you're hearing sound perfectly fine, but you get this nagging sense that there's a whole other story playing out on their face. You're left wondering what's actually going on in their head. Well, that feeling is often right on the money. The real issue is that most of us miss these powerful, unspoken messages. You see, our faces are constantly broadcasting signals, kind of like a window into our inner world. But if you don't know what you're looking for, it's easy to misunderstand people, and that can cause problems in all parts of our lives. So to help you really get a handle on this, we're going to walk through 4 key areas. First, we'll talk about why the face is so important in communication. Then we'll get into the cool science behind our expressions. After that, we'll decode some specific facial cues, and finally, we'll learn how to put all those pieces together to see the full picture. All right, let's start with part 1. The face's silent language. A great way to think about the face is as our main nonverbal billboard. It's true. From the moment we're born, we are literally hardwired to focus on faces to figure out what's going on with the people around us. The face is just so central to everything. It's constantly communicating our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings, everything from pure joy to total disgust. And yeah, the eyes and the mouth are super revealing. But here's the most important thing. You can't just look at one part in isolation. You have to see the whole canvas, where all these little clues and expressions come together to paint the complete picture of what's happening inside. Okay, so we know the face is like a billboard, but what makes it so trustworthy? Well, the secret is its direct connection to our brain. And this isn't just a fun idea. There's some really fascinating science that explains why our faces can be so incredibly revealing. It really comes down to this. We have 2 brains that are often telling 2 different stories at the same time. On one side, you've got the limbic system. You can call this the honest brain. It's ancient, it's emotional, and it reacts in an instant, totally reflexively. It's responsible for our gut reactions, the ones that are really hard to fake. But then there's the neocortex, or the thinking brain. This part is all about complex thought, logic, and, well, it's also the part that's capable of deception. It's the least reliable place to look for true feelings. And that deep connection to our honest limbic brain is exactly why our faces are such powerful clues. It's like this quote says, "Seeing emotions on someone's face wasn't just some nice-to-have skill. For our ancestors, being able to read faces instantly was absolutely critical for survival. It helped us build trust, spot danger, and navigate a complex social world." So we understand the why the face is so important. Now let's get down to the what. We're going to get practical and look at the specific, observable cues you can spot on that canvas that tell you what's really going on inside a person. We're going to zoom in on a few key behaviors that act as major tells. We'll break down things like face shielding, emotional asymmetry, facial incongruences, and even something called a duping delight smirk. Let's start with one of the most common ones. First up is something called face shielding. This is a perfect example of that limbic or honest brain in action. When we feel a sudden rush of shame or fear or intense anxiety, our brain instinctively wants to hide. You see this all the time when someone who's been arrested uses their jacket to cover their face from cameras. It's a powerful gut-level reaction to negative attention. Next, we have emotional asymmetry. This one's fascinating. It's what happens when you see 2 different emotions on the face at the exact same time. It's like a polite, social smile is fighting with a sneer of contempt. And here's a pro tip for you. Pay very close attention to the left side of a person's face. Research suggests that side is often more honest, especially when it comes to revealing genuine negative feelings. And then there's facial incongruence, which I guarantee you've seen a million times. This is when the words say one thing, but the face is screaming something completely different. Someone might say, "Oh yeah, I'm happy to help," but their jaw's clenched and their eyes are tense. That mismatch is a huge sign of an internal conflict between what they're saying and what they're actually feeling. One of the most subtle but revealing cues is called duping delight, a term coined by the famous psychologist Paul Ekman. It's that tiny little smirk or half smile that flashes across someone's face at a completely wrong time, like when they should be serious. It's the brain's little surge of pleasure from feeling like it just got away with something. These examples really show how that honest brain just can't help but leak the truth.
Okay, so being able to spot these individual clues is a great first step. But the real skill, the most important part, is learning how to put all the pieces together. So let's talk about the single most powerful rule for interpreting that whole canvas.
This right here is the golden rule. It is the most critical guideline for decoding what you see on a face. When you see mixed signals, let's say you see a happy smile, but it's paired with anxious, tense eyes, you should always trust the negative emotion as the more honest one. So how do you apply this rule in real time? It's pretty straightforward. First, you look for that conflict. You hear happy words, but you see a tense face. Okay. Step 2, you identify the negative cue, that little bit of tension, the flicker of fear, the hint of dislike. And then step 3, and this is the most important part, you trust that negative cue as the genuine piece of data. Why? Because that negative signal is the raw, unfiltered reaction from the honest limbic brain, leaking out before the thinking brain can cover it up with a more polite expression. Of course, always consider the context, but when in doubt, trust the negative. Now, it's really important to remember this one last thing. As expressive as the face is, it's also the one part of our body that we have the most practice controlling. So for the most accurate read, you really need to observe the whole person. In fact, the research behind this explainer suggests that our feet and legs are often the most honest parts of the body, simply because we don't think about them as much. So by learning to see the whole canvas, from those tiny, fleeting expressions to applying the rule of mixed signals, you gain a really powerful tool for better understanding and deeper connection. As you go about your day, I want you to think about this. How might this new understanding of facial clues change your very next interaction? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.